Well, it's been a while since I've recorded a video, so I figured I'd do one kind of talking about answering some questions about fashion and talking a little bit about confidence to wear what I wear and to be who I am. So to get started, what's your favorite style to wear? I think for me, it's just colorful. The more colorful, the better. I take influence from a bunch of different styles and fashions, from different J fashions to what people wear on Pride, to different people that I've seen who wear colorful clothing or wear fun clothing on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. My fashion role model is Elizabeth Sweetheart, who's the Green Lady of Brooklyn. So she is a lady who wears only green, which is really cool to me how she's picked that aesthetic and kind of sticks to it. And so she wears only this one kind of shade of green, really, like this kind of like neon light, medium range green. And it's pretty great. So if you haven't seen her before, look her up, the Green Lady of Brooklyn or Elizabeth Sweetheart. She's rocking it. She's doing a great job, and I hope to someday be as dedicated to a look as she is. What do you always have on? So what I always have on is my Ham Zahir, which is a gold tone one with is made out of stainless steel on a gold tone chain. I always wear this crystal I got in San Francisco, and I always wear this non-binary symbol gold tone stainless steel necklace as well as my engagement ring, which is silicone, so it's squishy, and this agate ring that I got from Etsy, I believe. I also always wear my Fitbit. Um, right now, the screen is a unicorn, and it's pink. So it matches with what I wear a lot, and it makes me happy every time I look at it. But it tracks my steps, it tracks my heart rate, it tracks a bunch of different things, which is kind of cool for me for data to have. That is just interesting stuff for me to keep track of. My favorite jeans. So I have a pair of jeans from a brand called Everlane. Um, they're made out of organic cotton, and they are their skinny style jean. And I really love those. They're fitting a little tight at the moment because I gained a little bit of weight, as happens. So I haven't been wearing them as much as I used to, but they are my favorite jeans. Favorite sunglasses. So they're actually these glasses. They're heart shaped, and they're transition lenses, so they change into sunglasses in the sun. The only thing I don't like about them is that they don't change in the car. I'm guessing because there's some sort of UV protection in the windshield of the car that prevents it from changing. But that's my only, negative drawback to the transition sunglasses. Other than that, I've loved them. And it's been a great investment, I think, for me personally, because I do have sensitive eyes due to having chronic corneal erosion, which means that my corneas will get tears in them pretty easily, especially if I don't use eye drops every night, which I try to do. Sometimes I forget, but usually I'll notice. But they are still really sensitive regardless. When I was putting on eyeshadow this morning on my lids, they kept tearing up and they were really sensitive. Um, just because they just decided to be sensitive, I guess. There wasn't really anything. I remembered my eye drops last night, so it wasn't that. But they are pretty sensitive. Um, Favorite shoes. So I like the Zero brand shoes. I like barefoot shoes. I like minimalist shoes. So I have Zero and Vibram barefoot five fingers. Vibram five fingers. Those are my favorite shoes that I own. The Vibram five fingers. They're in a kind of like lime green, yellow, teal blue kind of combination, and the zeros are blues, and they're minimalist sandals. So I wear the sandals as long as I can get away with them. And then I wear the other shoes when I can't wear the sandals. Uh, I do also have a pair or two pairs of Ahinsa, Ahinsa shoes. Some that are brown, like loafer style, and then others that are like a navy blue, kind of like mid calf boot. I don't wear those that often because they don't have a zipper on them, so I have to untie them and retie them, and that's just too much work for me. I like to be have shoes that are easy to go on and off. But I do have those shoes, and those are the only shoes I own. So I only own a few pairs of shoes on purpose, um, because I just love the shoes I love, and they're super comfortable for me. Favorite store. I don't know if I have a favorite store per se, but I do love thrifting. Thrifting has always been my favorite. We grew up thrifting due to necessity mostly growing up. But also because thrifting can be fun. You can find a bunch of really cool stuff. Um, this shirt came from a thrift store. Um, Most of my clothes, in fact, at the moment are thrifted because I'm building back up my wardrobe with colorful items. And so everything that I own is either thrifted or gifted at this point, except for the clothes that I had bought when I was doing the sustainable thing. Which I haven't really worn many of those here lately, just because I've been super excited and happy by the colorful clothes. That the ones that are kind of more on the neutral side just start making me as happy, so I'm not drawn to them as often. Favorite fabric. Anything stretchy for comfort. Um, I know that the plastics and stretch fabrics aren't always the most sustainable. But my weight varies a lot, between about 30, 40 pounds. So having clothes that have a little bit of stretch to them, like a nice cotton t-shirt, or something like that, is really helpful for me, to be able to fit in various stages or various times of my life. But also to be more comfortable. I may like to wear bright colors and wear fun clothing, but I'd like to be comfortable. So I'm not going to wear something that is like super structured or something that is really uncomfortable. Um, which is the main reason I wear the barefoot and minimalist shoes, is because I like comfort on my feet as well. Otherwise, I'd probably be wearing platforms and heels all the time if I was able to manage the discomfort there. If you had $300 to spend on any one item, what would it be? There is a store that sells a kind of like neon rainbow faux fur coat with bear ears that I'm absolutely in love with. It costs a little over $300, but that would be the one thing that I would buy. Um, Other than that, I would just go on a thrifting spree to a bunch of different thrift stores in the area, um, and kind of figure out what I can find and kind of go from there, because I get more items that way, as well as it's just a lot more fun to kind of pick through stuff and go through it for me. What purse or bag do you currently use? I use a crossbody bag by Terra Thread in a teal color. It is fairly large size, but like my water bottle will fit in it. Um, and I use it to carry like my lunch, or I use it when I go on trips to carry necessities. So it crosses over in the front. So it's also secure. So it's secure to the front of your body as opposed to being kind of off to the side or on the back. Because I used to carry mini backpacks. But I always got super paranoid about putting different things in there because I didn't want it to be easily accessible to other people. And me maybe not even noticing that it's being gone through or opened or is open or whatever. So that's it for the questions. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about like confidence and wearing what makes me comfortable. Um, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about my journey from, you know, um, wearing clothes that are more mainstream to wearing kind of what I wear now. So to start off with, I spent most of my life wearing what was expected of me, and wearing basic, generic, off the rack, you know, clothes like everyone wears, right? The same kind of stuff, in every color, whatever color I could find. I went through a period where I just wore men's clothes, um, and men's clothing is very limited as far as color goes, color options. So it's like dark green or dark blue or navy. Sometimes you'll get a nice bright color, but usually it's not unless you pay a whole lot more. Um, so I did that for a while. And then I I remember I was wearing all black at one point after that as well. I went kind of back to my high school goth kid roots. And so I was wearing all black because it's easy, because you don't have to worry about different things. And I had a black cat. It was just the easiest thing for me at the time. So I remember that I had ordered a cardigan, a flowy cardigan online. And I remember very specifically that it came from a men's brand, on purpose because I felt really self conscious about wearing it. So I remember that I did that on purpose so that if anyone asked, I would say, well, it was made for men. Um, so I remember doing that. That was when I was identifying as a trans man, primarily, and hadn't quite come back into my non binary identity. But yeah, so I was very nervous about wearing it. I remember I loved it though, and it made me so happy to wear. Just that little bit of flow to it. Um, just, it was super comfortable. It made me happy. And I wore it a lot. And I remember nobody said anything about it. I got compliments on it, in fact. And so I kind of went from there. I remember the next piece that I bought that was kind of a little bit out there were these tapestry, kind of like couch fabric almost, floral pants. So they had a black base to them, but then had, brighter colored flowers on top of them. I also had a few button downs that had black base with like bright colored flowers. So I started to bring more color into my wardrobe there. Um, and I tried a couple times to go strictly to color, kind of like I am now. Um, but I think it was just such a stark contrast to what I had been wearing that it was just hard, for me to get used to feel comfortable in, to kind of go from all black to all color, kind of at once. And then at a certain point, I got really into fashion, and different fashion systems. One of which is Dressing Your Truth, and I'll talk about that one a little bit later. But the other was color analysis. So seasonal color analysis. So seasonal color analysis, basically you're put into one of four categories, and then there are like three or four subcategories in each category. Um, so the four categories are based off of seasons, which is why it's called seasonal color analysis: fall, spring, winter, summer. And I was classified as a fall, or an autumn, a true or bright autumn, I believe, which meant that basically wearing all the colors you associate with a fall or autumn. So there's some jewel tones in there, but there are also those colors of the leaves, colors of the ground, colors of um, different flowers that are still kind of around in the fall. But like mustard yellows and pumpkin oranges and tans and teals and stuff like that. So I started wearing, and purples, like a dark purple. I started wearing those colors. Um, and I felt really confident wearing color because it was a smaller step from the black. Because they were a lot more washed out colors. They weren't really bright. They weren't bold. So they were more dark and subtle kind of colors. So I felt more comfortable in that. I started wearing scarves. I was wearing a scarf like every day at one point, and cardigans. Um, and I started buying clothing from the women's section. So that was the time that I started to get back into that. Um, so I felt super comfortable. I got a lot of compliments. I started wearing makeup again in those same colors. I started really expressing myself through clothing, which was a big thing for me. Um, it took a lot for me to feel comfortable and confident. But I think the more compliments I got, the better, because I realized that people weren't treating me badly, but they were treating me nice instead, and that they liked it, and that it suited me, and that it was a good match with my personality to wear more fun items. So I did that for, oh goodness, it had to have been like a year before I started getting back into bright colors again and dressing your truth. So dressing your truth is based off of personality instead of like coloring. So one of the biggest drawbacks and criticisms of seasonal color analysis is that it's based off of like the tone of your skin, the hair color, eye color, those kinds of things. So one of the biggest criticisms is that it places particularly people of color into one of two categories generally, and that's autumn or winter. Um, because spring and summer are generally seen for people with blonde hair, blue eyes, red hair, green eyes, those kinds of things. So one of the big criticisms of the whole seasonal color analysis thing is that it's not very inclusive. So and yeah, like I said, dressing your truth is based off of personality. It's basically the same four categories, just named type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4 instead. And they do correlate with the different seasons. They also include like fabrication and texture, pattern, those kinds of things into their um, rules, so to say, as far as like what to wear and what you're supposed to be wearing. But it's basically based off of personality. So for me, I'm a type 1, which is the more bubbly, energetic, childlike, fun type, which correlates with the spring. In case you were wondering, which is not a type that I was typed as under seasonal color analysis, but it's a lot of like bright colors and pastels, colors with a little bit of white added to them, basically. So anything that's like bright and that kind of is bright and bubbly and happy and things like that. I never really got into the fabrication bit because they wanted things to be crisp. Um, and I like things to be stretchy and flowy. Although there's this whole thing where you get a secondary type, and the secondary type can impact fabrication sometimes. So that may be what it is because my secondary is a type 2, which is the summer, or more flowy and things with gray added to them for the colors. But typically with the secondary, you bring in fabrication and other things, and the color from your primary type. It's a whole complicated thing, but Dressing Your Truth does have an online quiz in case you're interested in finding out what type you are, and it's free. I think you might have to put your email address in, but it's just a quick little quiz. It's pretty fun, and it'll tell you what type you are, basically. Um, and then they have a free course you can learn more about it. But in case you're interested in it, it's out there. But so I went into that for a while. And then I went to something called Barefoot School, which was a sustainability, foraging, barefoot kind of event weekend, where we all went. We learned a bunch of stuff. We got together. We ate locally harvested, foraged foods. Um, it was amazing. But I learned so much about sustainability there, and I wanted so badly to be like the person who was running it. And basically, he can fit most of his possessions into like a backpack. He owns like one pair of shorts, three t-shirts, whatever. So I wanted to get more back to my minimalist, kind of like I've always wanted to be a minimalist, and I was a minimalist for a little while, for about a period of 6 months to a year, I think. So it wasn't that long, but I did like pare down possessions. I had a count of my possessions, and I was living in a studio apartment. But I got to the point where we're living in a two-bedroom apartment. Most of that space is taken up by Marcus and drag stuff. But I did expand my wardrobe. I expanded the things that I owned. I have more stuff than I was used to. So I wanted to go through a bunch of stuff and get rid of a bunch of stuff. I donated most of it, unless it was not usable. So I donated a bunch of stuff, including clothes. And then I went and bought a bunch of clothing from sustainable brands, organic cotton, linen, sustainable fabrics. And I replaced pretty much my entire wardrobe with a sustainable wardrobe. I stopped wearing makeup. I stopped getting my nails done. I stopped wearing the bright colors because it's hard to find sustainable fabrics in bright colors. They exist, but it's difficult to find from like shops that are making them outright. Thrifting is very sustainable. And so that's a way to get those bright colors, which I'm using now. But at that moment, my whole deal was that I wanted to be as minimalist and as sustainable as possible. So yeah, I went to the extreme, and it didn't work for me. It was a little too much, because I lost that bit of my personality and that expression, with that. Um, I think the only thing I did that was not part of that I remember reminded me of kind of those kinds of like colorful personality type presentation that I really love was I bought these glasses, and I wore them. But yeah, other than that, for about 6 months, I was on that fully sustainable, only wearing sustainable clothing, kind of track. I still had makeup. I didn't get rid of all of it. I did get rid of some of it, because I had a lot, but I didn't get rid of all of it, because I guess I was holding on to it just in case. I also knew that throwing it away was kind of wasteful, and using it was less wasteful. But I wanted to kind of see if I could be that person, I guess. Turns out it's not for me. Being sustainable in ways that I can be is very important to me. But going to that extreme is not something that works for me, personally, because I do need this kind of colorful, um, self expression, in order to feel whole, in order to feel like I'm actually living my truth and presenting myself, and my personality as I am. So basically what happened was I put on some makeup one day. I think I was bored and I didn't know what to do, and so that was something that um, came to me to do. So I put makeup on that one day, and I haven't looked back. I've been thrifting like 3 times since then, have picked up a bunch of colorful clothing. Um, And like I said earlier, I've only worn that since I started wearing it again, because I've realized how much of an impact it makes on my happiness, on my self esteem, on my feelings of being truly myself and representing that to the outside world. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what my journey's been like. As far as confidence, and I know that this is already a very long video, but as far as confidence goes, it's come slowly over time. Um, I think that feeling more authentically myself is so important to me, that the stares that I get when I go out don't bother me as much as they might bother other people, um, or as much as they used to bother me. But I do get stares when I go out, because I do look different. I'm covered in piercings all over my face. I have tattoos. I have my nails done. I have makeup on. I'm wearing bright colors. So I stand out, you know? I think it's standing out in a good way, but not everyone feels that way. So I do get stares when I go out. Most of the time I ignore them. I have not had anyone specifically come up to me and say anything negative to me, to my face. They may have said negative things behind my back, but I try not to pay attention to that kind of stuff when I'm in public. I pay more attention to what I'm doing, where I'm at, and those kinds of things. So I focus on me while I'm out in the public, or on my friend if I'm with a friend or friends, and less on the way people perceive me. Um, so that said, like I said, I haven't had any negative experiences based on the way I look. Um, I did have one negative experience based on, I'm guessing, the way that I looked, but that was when I was wearing the more sustainable clothes. So I was wearing a pair of like undyed, unbleached cotton shorts and a t-shirt in a similar color, maybe blue, maybe, um, and sandals. And I was walking down the side of a street, and someone stops and yells something out the window of a work truck, and is recording me on their phone. So I have no idea to this day what they said. It couldn't have been good, but they were definitely recording me and trying to get a reaction out of me. They didn't get one because I didn't know what they said. But that's the only bad experience I've had. But that said, it's been winter, so I haven't been walking out as much as I used to. I do get a lot of positive compliments and comments on what I wear, which is great. I think living in Asheville helps with that. I think that if I was still living in Cullowhee, for instance, or that Cullowhee Silva area, it may not be as positive. Um, so all of this experimentation, all of the bright colors, all of the seasonal color analysis, all this stuff has happened since I lived in Asheville. So I have no real experience with dressing this way in a small town and living in a small town. I just know that I felt more uncomfortable in a smaller town, and I feel more comfortable and confident in Asheville. Um, just because there are more people here, there are more people who do dress in ways that are outside of the societal norms here. So I feel more confident. Um, and I feel sometimes a need to tone it down a little bit when I'm in a smaller town, not wearing makeup or whatever, because I feel like I need to. I don't know. It's hard for the confidence piece, when I feel like there might be a safety concern. And it is something that I can easily take away. Aside from the fact that I shaved off half my eyebrows, and I wear heart shaped glasses, and I have the jewelry in my face, I can hide the bright colors, I can hide the makeup, I can not present in certain ways and make myself a little more um, societally palatable, I suppose, if I need to, which is, I understand, a privilege, because not everybody has that privilege that does. Um, defy societal norms or is part of a minoritized, marginalized group. But yeah, so that's kind of what my journey has been. That's kind of how I feel about confidence. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling happy. And that's the most important thing to me, I think. Just being myself, being authentically myself, and loving who I am. Um, and just kind of being happy and enjoying life, enjoying my presentation, enjoying colors, enjoying everything. So yeah, that's pretty much the video. Um, yeah, I'll probably post more in the future, but for now, I just wanted to post a video about fashion and confidence and kind of how my journey has led me to who I am and how I currently present, and what that looked like for me. All right, thanks. Bye.